Hi, I'm Alex Miller, and this is the Citi Institute podcast, where we explore the forces shaping finance, the global economy, and the way we live and work. In each episode, we bring you insights from thought leaders and innovators driving change, helping you stay informed, navigate challenges, and seize opportunities in a rapidly evolving world.
How do you get robots to work together, understand the function they're trying to perform, and communicate directly? It's sort of the next phase of the development, right?
Robotics company really needed to focus on technology and product. Listen carefully to your customer, work with your customer, co-develop robots with your customer.
Today, we are hosting a discussion about the cutting-edge field of robotics. As you know, AI robots can now see, learn, move, talk, indeed take instruction into code and then act. Only recently has so-called multimodal AI allowed all these elements to fit together. The Citi report, The Rise of AI Robots, suggests that there's going to be a four-fold growth to more than 1.3 billion AI robots by 2035, only a decade away, and 12-fold to 4 billion by 2050. And that's versus about 300 million today. And that's going to be used in commercial, retail, industrial, a whole host of applications. We are thrilled to have with us founder and CEO of Pudu Robotics, Felix Zhang, and Citigroup's Shenwei Zhu, who are here to share their views on this emerging space. Felix, thank you for joining us. Tell us first, what was the eureka moment in your founding of the journey as you approach next year? I think what's going to be your 10th anniversary since founding Pudu Robotics.
Okay, thank you, Alex. So we got close to the 10-year anniversary of Pudu Robotics next year. People often ask me that eureka moment is in founding the company. Honestly, it started way back in college. I've always been a huge fan of robots. After graduation, I jumped into my first startup where we worked on flying cars. Then I built a tech media company, something like TechCrunch in China. After that, I started my third company, a consumer robot venture. That one lasted over 3 years, but in the end, it didn't work out. It failed. That failure made me rethink everything. What should I do next? What's the robot I really want to build? What a robot can actually create real value. Here's a eureka moment. I realized commercial service robots were the answer because it has big market, but no good products existed yet. So in 2016, I started Pudu Robotics with restaurant delivery robots. We got traction fast and opened up the space. Fast forward to 2021. And we noticed that something fascinating our customers, hotels, malls, shopping malls, places already using our delivery robots, started asking us that they want cleaning robots as well. The core technology for both robots were similar. So we said, why not? That's when we began our second curve, commercial cleaning robots. By 2024, since took off again, we have sold a lot of cleaning robots to factories and warehouses. And those customers came to ask us again, can you provide industrial delivery robots as well? So we saw the chance right there. That's why we started developing our third curve, industrial delivery robots. It's all about listening our customers' needs and growing from that. And then in the second half of 2024, we hit a big breakthrough. We launched some innovative robot designs like semi-humanoid robot Pudu D7 and fully humanoid robot Pudu D9. These are pushing the boundaries, bring a whole new level of smart technology to the market. Looking back, that shift to commercial robots in 2016, that was a moment that set us up for everything we are doing today.
And obviously, you're one of the largest robotics companies in the world, but you started in the restaurant space, you moved into the cleaning space particularly, and then more recently the industrial space, and now the humanoid space, which obviously is particularly interesting. Shenwei, maybe I could ask you, I know recently Citigroup hosted a major robotics conference. Coming out of that, what was your sort of main takeaways? What was the vibe?
Yeah, so we recently hosted our Robotics and Physical AI conference last week. This is the third year there. We hosted a conference in New York City. We had about 30 presenting companies participating. We had about 50 investors and 120 individuals in total. Out of the conference, I think the key themes is, there is tremendous amount of interest in the space, particularly given the broader interest around AI and what NVIDIA, Tesla, what Jensen and Elon is talking about around physical AI being sort of next frontier. If we think about what ChatGPT has done for sort of potentially for all sorts of white collar tech jobs, and taking that breakthrough in AI and apply it in the physical world, sort of is the next frontier, right? That's why there is a lot of interest from investor perspective to learn and to meet with some of the most innovating companies that came to our conference. I would say physical AI, generally speaking, is still in the very early stage of its development. The physical AI model is more complex than the large language model that I've been talking about. The other thing is the availability of data that's used to train these physical AI models. Unlike the language models where you have a tremendous amount of data available to train, in the physical AI space, the availability of data is something that people need to solve first, right? So there isn't that great amount of robotic data available to train. So people are obviously deploying robots, collecting data, users to train. People are developing very very innovative technologies and techniques to train the robot, including using virtual simulation, right? So NVIDIA invests a lot of money in the Omniverse and type of approach to really train, using simulation, using the virtual environment to train robot to learn the physical world. So there are a lot of interest. We see a lot of capital going to the space, but it's still very early stage, just given where the overall development of physical AI is. The robotic space is I think it's in the dawn age of the next evolution, I would say.
Pudu Robotics, Felix, for you, has been an incredibly successful company, over the last decade. But as you think about the journey of the last 10 years, you mentioned the pandemic, you mentioned taking your technology into different areas. Was there anything else that sort of gained huge new traction? You mentioned the humanoids as your most recent launch. That must be pretty exciting.
I think the first was in 2017. Pudu was founded in 2016, and in 2017, our first delivery robot won the Red Dot Award, Best of the Best. That was huge because suddenly the media started covering our story, and a lot of customers reached us wanting to use our robots. That was the first big step, and from there, as we launched new products one by one, our revenue grew fast. I think the real turning point came in 2023 with our mature commercial cleaning robots. Unlike delivery robots, which mostly serve at restaurants and hotels, cleaning robots fit almost everywhere: office buildings, factories, warehouses, supermarkets, shopping malls, hospitals, schools. So our customers became jumped to hundreds, even thousands times bigger. We got big names on board. They are using our cleaning robots for floor cleaning now. Then movie in 2023 shifted us from a restaurant-focused company to one that serves all kinds of things with all kinds of service robots.
So really sort of noting the way in which the broader customer opportunity is increasing as you've entered into the commercial space. You mentioned a few technologies. Artificial intelligence is one, manifestation into physical robotics is another side of that. When you think about AI's potential and the bionics that are improving, how good do you think these robotics are going to become? And do you think we'll just think of them as other people in a sense, sort of in the future?
I really think so. First is interaction with large language model technology, voice interaction with robots gets super natural. For example, if you go to a supermarket, you can just say, hey, I want to buy something. Then the robot pops up a few choices on the screen. You just need to swipe to pick the exact product, and then the robots will lead you to the shelf. That's a huge boost for users. Second technology is manipulation. The biggest challenge with humanoid robots is using robotic arms and a robotic hand to do tons of tasks in the physical world, like grabbing goods, assembling parts, or even working in medical equipment. That's where it gets exciting. And the third technology, which I was excited about, is indoor autonomous driving. This year, almost every autonomous driving and electric car company has started building end-to-end autonomous models. But in the robot industry, no one is really done that yet. I think Pudu will be the first robotics company to launch indoor end-to-end autonomous driving technology, probably in this July or August. So all of the advanced emerging technologies like large language models, powering embodied AI, that is what's shaping our roadmaps: smarter interaction, better manipulation, and next level indoor mobility.
I love that example you give there, Felix, of going to the supermarket and wanting to find out which aisle something's in, because that's a real world problem. You just can't get someone to speak to and to tell you where to go to. So I'm sure lots of people would welcome the opportunity to get a humanoid to point them in the right direction. Shenwei, maybe I could just ask you, you've been deeply involved in this space, and Citigroup have been deeply involved in different ways supporting innovation. Where do you see the kind of the growth trends and maybe the industries or technologies that are getting most interest, most traction?
Yeah, I think you're similar to what Felix said. There is going to be a lot of progress, and then over the next decade or so, I think there are really two paths that this technology and industry is developing. One is, I think you see there's people are developing robots with what we call a very focused or single use case deployment, right? So these are technologies like maybe are guiding people in supermarkets to a different aisle. Maybe people are robots doing picking in the warehouse. They're moving boxes around in the warehouse. And these are very use case specific. They're designed to do one or very limited set of functions, and they do really well at it, and they're very, very cost efficient. And then I think the other trend, and people are working on, a lot of capital is going to, is, as Felix said, humanoids, right? So these are, and the reason why people go with the form factor over humanoid is, people believe the physical world is designed for humans, and so if you have the human function, you have a human form factor, it makes it much easier to be integrated as part of a life, without changing how the environment generally is in order to develop it. And it came along with it is sort of the artificial general intelligence, right? Which meaning the robot is able to learn and perform these functions by themselves. I think recently there are multiple technology companies such as Figure AI. They're developing models that they call the VLA, right? Vision, Language, Action. So these are basically taking the large language model that we're now used to the next level, meaning you're not just given robots verbal command, but the robot is able to see the physical world in a three-dimensional way as we see it, and they're able to interact with it by taking action, by understanding the command, understanding what they're seeing, and then taking action. Right. So, and then I was thinking the next phase of that development is when robots started working together. I know it's a scary thought, right? But if you think about one robot interacting with the physical space with the human is one thing, but if you have multiple or dare I say army of them interacting with each other and understanding them performing a function together, like what human would do, right? So for example, if you and I will go and try to lift a very heavy table, let's say, want to move around, right? We can communicate that verbally. We don't even need to communicate that verbally. We can do it because we can look at each other, say, and understand our objective is to move the box, and we can kind of communicate. For example, just nod our head, and we understand it's time to lift the model, right? So how do you get robots to work together, understand the function they're trying to perform, and understand what each other is doing, and communicate directly in a way and perform collaboratively? It sort of is the next phase of the development, right? So I think there is a lot more the technology needs to go to get there. But I do know there are companies and multiple companies, including Pudu and others, are doing a lot of very innovative, very exciting things related to these in these areas.
Maybe, Felix, I could just pick you up on one of those points, particularly that relationship between humans and humanoid robotics in the service industry. We heard there Shenwei talk about, initially it's going to be about an additional humanoid working alongside other people, but do you see them becoming a lot more common, and actually we as people are going to have to interact differently with humanoid robotics?
I think in the future we're going to see humanoid robots working with human more and more common, and along with that, I think they're going to more kinds of robots working with people. So it's not only humanoid robots, but there are specific robots which focusing on one task, and there are semi-humanoid robots, which means wheel-based combines with robotic arm. Basically, I think there are all kinds of robots working with people.
I guess also I wanted to kind of touch upon your thoughts, because I know you're involved as a company with different governments, with different initiatives to encourage collaboration, because there's a lot of kind of collaboration to make this work. Can you just share some of the things that you're doing with governments or different initiatives that help grow this space more broadly?
We have business in a lot of countries, including US, Germany, UK, France, Italy, Spain, Japan, Korea, Australia, China, just a lot of countries. We have business in those countries. Doesn't mean we are working directly with different government, but because we didn't sell any robots to government directly, but we have compliance with every government's regulation.
There's a lot of regulatory different trends, I'm sure. So Shenwei, you wanted to jump in there.
Yeah, I do think with the development of and accelerated deployment, adoption in robotics, I do think there will be more government policy that needs to develop alongside as well, right? So, and not just sort of adapting the industrial standards and safety standards to the new technology and the new reality of more and more automation. And clearly it will, although I think most of the robotics, I think in the near future or in the near to medium future will be not necessarily fully replace human walkers, but really kind of walk alongside of human, right? As a complementary or supplement to human labor. But at some point, it will have an impact on the labor force. So I do think there will be needed in the longer term, there need to be development on government policies to address sort of how do we really leverage the technology to improve sort of the social safety net, right? To really making sure that people who are potentially being impacted by these technologies will have to receive some sort of level of universal income or compensation. So I do think there is more of that related to I think multiple layers in the government from government perspective. It's industrial policy. It is adapting the safety industrial standards to the new reality of automation. And then in the longer term, I do think governments need to really think about and have policy around how do we making sure, like, the deployment of robots, particularly around humanoids, when they're designed to particularly working alongside of human and not just performing a particular function, but generally speaking, able to learn a task very quickly and perform these tasks, they will have an impact on the labor force. So how do government respond to these changes is something that we have to see how it develops over the next decade.
That's a great point, Shenwei, in terms of industrial policy needing to explicitly be cognizant of and integrate the emergence of humanoid and robotic technology going forward. And clearly there's a political aspect to that as well. Maybe, Felix, I could just bring back to you, not many companies emerge and successfully thrive as yours have over 10 years. And I'm sure it's still early in your growth path. What advice would you give to those listening to this podcast who are perhaps aspiring entrepreneurs who are looking to start their own robotic business or indeed a broader startup? What experience would you share with them in terms of how to be successful?
Okay, I think first is robotics company really needed to focus on technology and product. That is a fundamental of a robotics company, and I think the second is robotics company has to work with passion and long terms, because robots is really hard. There are a lot of tons of technology needed to develop, and more helpful robots need to be invented. I think passion and long terms are very important. I think the third suggestion would be work with your customers, because I think there are a lot of technology companies like to say, hey, we have really emerging advanced technology, but sometimes customers just don't care, because PMF is really important. So I think every technology company has to listen carefully to your customer, work with your customer, or co-develop robots with your customer. That is really important. I think the fourth suggestion would be be open up and global, because I think different countries maybe have different customer needs, but generally the customer needs are similar. So I think almost every company needs to become a global company.
So the technology arms race, make sure you understand the technology, to have the passion and the vision for the product itself, and to never lose sight of the importance of that. Collaborating with customers, co-creating with customers, so you're kind of you're completely in sync there, and then really thinking globally in nature, given the nature of this business. That's fascinating.
It's really interesting you mentioned the customers, because at our robotics conference, I hosted a CEO panel that had the Locus Robotics CEO and the Gray Orange CEO up in the panel. And when we asked them, how do they scale their business, with the sort of the number one key takeaway, both of them, and looks like you share the same comment, is really around serving the customers and developing the solution to solve a customer problem. And the sales motion is very much focused on delivering the ROI for the customers. And it's really interesting. I'm not an entrepreneur, but it's really intriguing to hear all of the, you guys, all three of you are very successful companies in robotics, in scaling up robotics, really kind of mentioned around serving the customer's needs, focus on customer, using the technology to solve a customer problem, versus the other way, which is, oh, I have a technology and how do I find a customer to use my technology, right? It's really sort of the customer first approach, which is leading you guys to be able to deploy robotics at scale, which I think that's a really, maybe it's a small thing, but I really think that's a very, very important takeaway in all the, including Pudu and other robotics I've seen. It's really a key point in achieving success.
And one that clearly differentiates the global leaders in this space as well. Felix, Shenwei, we've covered a lot of ground here, and it's been fascinating to get a glimpse into this emerging space. There is the Citi report on robotics, which people are more than welcome to take a look at. But thank you both very much for sharing your time. It's really been a fascinating discussion. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
Citigroup, Citi and Pudu Robotics are not affiliated and are independent from each other, although Pudu Tech is a client of the banking sector. The speakers' views are their own and may not necessarily reflect the views of Citi or any of its affiliates. All opinions are subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. The expressions of opinion are not intended to be a forecast of future events or a guarantee of future results.